Let me now warn you, in the most solemn manner, against the baneful effects of the spirit of party. The alternate domination of one faction over another, sharpened by the spirit of revenge natural to party dissension, is itself a frightful despotism.
Despite George Washington's dire warning, two distinct political parties were discernible by the end of the 18th century. The Federalists emerged from a coalition that had fought for ratification of the Constitution in 1788. They were bound by a commitment to an energetic federal government. Washington was, by inclination, a Federalist, yet clear divisions over economic and foreign policy surfaced within his administration. Jefferson frequently opposed Federalist initiatives and eventually resigned as Secretary of State, complaining that he and Hamilton had been
pitted against each other every day in the cabinet like two fighting cocks.
James Madison joined Jefferson in leading the opposition Republican Party.
The Federalist notion of the relation between the government and the people was that the people voted, and then the people shut up, and they let their officials carry on all of the business of government. The Jeffersonian idea was that the government, they're servants of the people, and the citizens should be actively involved all the time.
By the election of 1800, the two parties were openly promoting different platforms. John Adams and Charles C. Pinckney ran for the Federalist Party. Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr ran as Republicans.
The Jeffersonian Party is the first party to recognize that it has to regard party behavior seriously and mobilize voters at the state level, and to regard the election as a kind of contest in which what we would now regard as modern political organizing is necessary. The Federalists don't understand that. The Federalists think that they just have to present their candidates and the people will naturally gravitate towards them. Federalists remain more deferential and more classical in their notions about what politics is supposed to be.
In the election of 1800, the Republicans better reflected the anti-elitist spirit of the times. When all of the votes were in, the two Republican candidates were locked in a tie for the presidency.
They ended up with a tie vote because party discipline was so excellent. The Republicans were so well organized that everybody voted for the two men. Now, the Constitution had arranged that the winner and the runner-up would become president and vice president respectively. The Constitution also said if there wasn't a winner, that the vote was thrown into Congress, so it was thrown into the House. Then came the possibility of denying Jefferson the vote, and the Federalists, there were enough Federalist spoilers that would love to have done that. To Alexander Hamilton's credit, he really was the one who squashed that. He didn't like Jefferson, but he detested Burr, and so it didn't happen, and Jefferson was elected on the 37th or 8th or 9th ballot. It was clear then that the Constitution had not foreseen the development of parties, and so a constitutional amendment was proposed and passed very quickly, which set up separate elections for the president and vice president.
The big significance of the election of 1800, though, is that it's the first time when political power changes from one regime to another. 1800 is the first occasion when an opposition party, a new group, replaces the old group. By the creation of political parties, the United States effectively creates a way to discipline and structure and internalize conflict, and to create a situation in which different points of view can coexist without one side annihilating, massacring, executing the other side. The United States, in effect, internalizes a permanent dissent with the creation of political parties.
What's significant is what doesn't happen. Jefferson wins the election. The Federalists are truly horrified. They think that he is a very dangerous man, but they don't take any action. They don't rattle any swords. They don't talk about secession. They just go home and grumble. Power is transferred peacefully, and we can measure the real significance of that by the number of times in world history in which groups of people in power have not given up that power when they've been voted out of office. And they've overthrown the government. They've overthrown the Constitution. You cannot have democratic politics unless the people who are the participants in politics are willing to abide by the decisions at the ballot box.
Jefferson's inaugural address was conciliatory.
Every difference of opinion is not a difference in principle. We have called by different names brethren of the same principle. We are all Republicans. We are all Federalists.
However, in a private letter of the same period, Jefferson wrote,
I shall, by the establishment of Republican principles, sink Federalism into an abyss from which there shall be no resurrection of it.